I feel like somebody's going to lose money, and worse, somebody's going to lose a decade of their life. They're going to work longer than they had to. And so I'm going to go through 7 of these. Let me know at the end. Do you still think that these are true? Was I unconvincing? And are you going to let these be the reason why you work for years longer than you have to? The first one is to buy real estate with all cash. How many times have we seen Dave Ramsey say, you don't want a credit score? Credit score makes you a slave to the lender. And I get it. I don't want people to have bad debt. I don't want you to take out credit cards and use your credit cards and carry a balance because you think that's going to make you have a better credit score. But when you go to buy your house or your car or anything that could take debt, you're going to want a credit score. The problem with buying a property all cash, whether it's the house that you live in or rentals, like I did, it's not always rentals that set somebody free. There are people like uh, my friend Nick, who just started a YouTube channel that you should check out. It is brand new. And as a teacher, because he's a teacher, I think he's going to have some great content. It is Lead, Pray, Hodl. Go check it out. He invests in different asset classes, some real estate, some crypto, right? He's got a lot of different strategies. But there are people who don't look at the house they live in as an investment. There are people who don't look at rentals as investments because they don't think it's passive enough. But when it comes to buying with all cash, what you do is you possibly let inflation price you out of the market forever. I'll use myself as an example. If I started saving at the same time that I did, but didn't want to use leverage, I wanted to buy all cash. I started saving around 2010, 2011, right? I got laid off from law enforcement because of the 2008 housing crash. Took a little time to find the job that I ended up liking. I started teaching at a CDL school making $17 an hour. It wasn't the best job, but it was one I really enjoyed. If I started saving to buy all cash, I possibly today would be able to save enough to buy a property if they cost what they did in 2013. Do properties today in your market cost the same that they did in 2013? No. I would be chasing. I wouldn't have even half enough to buy one property yet. But since I used leverage, in 2013, I bought a duplex owner occupied. I only needed 5% down. In 2015, it was 20% down for the next one. 2018, it was the next one. 2020, I bought a fourplex and emptied my retirement account and bought a triplex. All of these with leverage. I have financial freedom and never have to work again because of debt, not because I have a paid off property that I bought all cash. The second lie, uh, which is the biggest one I think that people can debate, is that appreciation is more important than cash flow. Like this could literally be its own video. And I love appreciation. It has made me a multimillionaire. I made more money in net worth gain in 2023, I think, than I did earned income in 10 years. Earned income from my job. I made more in net worth gain from appreciation in 2023. But appreciation doesn't set me free. Can't eat it. I'd have to sell or finance something to get the equity out to create money with it. What set me free was cash flow. Investing for cash flow from day one as a byproduct had appreciation do its thing and make me a lot richer. Rich doesn't mean you don't have to work. Wealthy does. Wealthy is measured in months. How many months can you live your average lifestyle that you want to live without having to go back to work? That comes from cash flow. So, yes, you can invest in appreciating markets. I prefer a high cost of living state, but not because of the appreciation, because it means more cash flow from fewer units. I don't want a big portfolio. I'm a lazy investor. I actually titled my book that just came out on Amazon, Financial Freedom for the Lazy Person. I wanted the right amount of cash flow from the least amount of units. It had almost nothing to do with appreciation. Appreciation doesn't suck, but it's not what I invested for. The third biggest lie, speaking about being lazy, because this got me, Real estate investing is passive, or real estate investing isn't passive. Both of those are a lie. When I started as a lazy investor, if I wanted passive income, I wouldn't have bought a rental. Because investing with that ing at the end of the word, investing is a life consuming period of your life. Every moment is spent educating yourself, hunting for markets, learning your asset class. YouTube videos at 2 o'clock in the morning when you should have been sleeping. Truck drivers are never tired. Investing in real estate is the farthest thing from passive that I can think of because I had to work to earn the money to have the 5% down for the first duplex, the 20 for the next, right? So I had a full-time job. I was raising 3 kids. I was a single parent, so it was just me. On top of that, I had to study my market, figure out the asset class that I liked, didn't work, go for the one that did, close on properties. So not even learn the asset class, but once you close on it, now you've got to meet new tenants. What is a landlord introduction letter? How do you make one? Where do you find a lease? How do you collect rents? Like all of these things that you add to your workload, that's not passive while you're buying rentals. I thought my brother David was insane. He ran a tree service. He worked 10 to 15-hour days. And then he bought rentals, not like me. I bought mine from the MLS that needed the littlest amount of work. I wanted tenants in place. He bought places that were basically falling down. And he had the skill set to turn them into great rentals, fixed them up really nice. All of that work on top of the job that he was doing running his business. Thought he was nuts. And then he turned 50 and he retired from the business and he had 10 rentals that didn't need any work. And now all he does, like me, is travel and scuba dive. He does more. He's got the ultralight, the side by sides, the Sea-Doo, the quads. Like, I don't know if he's doing lazy well enough, but that was his thing. Real estate investing is not passive. Real estate ownership can be very close to passive. Yes, it takes me about 2 hours a month to manage my portfolio. 2 hours a month sure beats 40 hours a week for 40 years to retire on 40%. So it's not iron lung passive where I just get to lay on the couch and never do anything. I have to answer text messages, emails, look at estimates. It's been forever since I've had to go to a rental. I choose to every now and then, mostly for YouTube videos. But 2 hours a month, is that passive? I don't know that I have passive income, but what I have is a really high salary. Uh, 2 hours a month on average, because some are 5, some are 30 minutes. 24 hours in a year, $240,000. Was that $10,000 an hour? I'll take that for passive. That was cash flow, profit after all expenses, future expenses, taxes, everything. The fourth lie that keeps people broke, and this one is nuanced, so I'm going to try to get this as clear as I can. This one will trip up so many people. Working on the Spanish book, Flavio, with Michelle. So it'll probably come around the same time as the Audible version does, probably 4 to 6 months. This is the lie, but listen very carefully. Don't let this trip you up. You should always reinvest your cash flow. How many times have we heard that? You should always reinvest your cash flow. Always is a declarative statement. The less a person makes declarative statements, the less apt they are to look foolish in retrospect. Thank you, Tarantino. I reinvested the cash flow in the beginning when there wasn't very much. At about year 6 or 7, when the cash flow became more than my living expenses, I flipped the script. I lived off my cash flow. The idea was money pays for your bills. How you grow your wealth is by spending less than you make and saving and investing the difference. It's not the source of the income that matters. So when rental income passed my living expenses, I switched and lived on rental income 100% so that I could save, because everybody has a savings rate. I want to invest 10% of my income. I want to invest 25% of my take-home pay. I wanted to invest 100%. I needed proof that I didn't need that job. So from year 8 to year 12, I didn't touch one penny from my W-2 income. I lived 100% on my rental income. As the rental income grew and the W-2 income grew, I saved more and more of the rental income on top of that. But this save and reinvest all of your cash flow, don't think that means that you shouldn't stop using your W-2 income for your life. Once you can save 100% of your W-2 income for a few years, you have passed the litmus test that you don't need that job. The fifth biggest lie that cost me $1 million that I don't regret, I think. My tone would tell me I'm lying. I don't know. I'll have to do some introspection on that one. But is pay off your rentals as fast as you can. I saw one of the dumbest statements the other day. People aren't dumb, they make dumb statements. I actually want to do a video reacting to all of the statements that came out after this post. The post was something like, buy 5 rentals and you're a millionaire. Something simple like that. And it was everybody attacking him about how you can't own 5 rentals. You can't get the second mortgage. And the dumbest one at the top of the list was, you're not a millionaire until they're paid off. Derp. The last thing I want is paid off rentals. I'm a multimillionaire because they're not paid off. It's I want to say, well, it's not as bad as buying all cash, because buying them and then paying them off, you would at least have a rental or two. Buying all cash, people might not even have one yet. Some people would. They make high enough income, but I wasn't a super high income earner. When I paid off a property, and I'll just run the numbers by really quick. It was about 2018, 2019. I owed $121,000 on my smallest mortgage, which was my only single family house that I owned before I was an investor. And I focused every penny. I got to 4 mortgages in my name, which was what you were allowed to have at the time. We were limited to 4. It's now 10 as far as conventional loans go. And I thought, well, I'm at 4, I'll pay one off and I'll get another one. And so it took about a year because I had all the cash flow from the rentals coming in. I was making more money at my job. I was still doing side hustle for income because I'm a nerd and I play video games and sell stuff online. And I paid it off. And then the next thing I did was bought a fourplex. So at the beginning of 2020, I bought a fourplex that has appreciated. So not just the cash flow, which is over $1,000 a unit now at that fourplex per month. It's appreciated over $1 million in 5 years. In 2018, 2019, when I bought that fourplex in 2020, I put down $109,000. I could have bought another property. Instead of paying off $121,000, I could have bought another fourplex at the same time and made $1 million. Instead, I have a paid off single family house. I say I don't regret it because it's paid off. It's rented to a Section 8 tenant for $3,000 a month, and I enjoy that cash flow. But I would also like the cash flow from 4 units, making over $1,000 a month and appreciating $1 million. The last thing I want is to pay off my rentals, because then when you pay it off, now you're only gaining appreciation on the money that you've invested. Every penny spent paying down a rental from you is a penny you don't invest in the next rental, which starts a new depreciation schedule, more levered appreciation. And when you do finally pay off that rental, you have lost asset protection that you get from having the bank in first position. That lie gets me because, like I said, I don't regret it, but it cost me $1 million and it cost me more cash flow. I would have more cash flow today if I bought a fourplex instead of paying off that rental. The sixth and my favorite, this one hasn't got me, but it's got a lot of people. Wait for the crash and then buy. The Crash Bro videos, fear, it's like fear prawn. It sells. I get it. They get more weight, but get hundreds of thousands of views, and this video will be lucky to get 1,000 views. I'll be lucky to get 100 likes. I could get 100,000 views if I made a video talking about the crash that's coming. Even if I knew with 100% certainty that a crash was coming, I'd be buying a rental today. Because the people who bought a rental with buy and hold 30-year fixed rate debt in 2008 made out like a bandit in 2009 and 10 and 11, because rents went up. Because as people went through foreclosures during a crash, lenders disappeared. People were saying, don't catch a falling knife, double dip crash coming, buyers disappear. If everybody thought they could time the market, everyone who was an adult in 2011 would be a deca millionaire because they would have bought every property they can get their hands on. waiting for the crash is costing people money. And when the crash comes, because it's going to, real estate is cyclical, those people won't buy. And the last one, the seventh lie that keeps people broke, you need partners to scale. If you're starting out and you don't have any money, find a partner who does. If you're starting out and you don't have any experience, because that's how we all start out, find a partner who does. If you can't find a good deal, what makes you think you're going to find a good partner? That should be a t-shirt. Have you met people in my course calls? We did a weekly course call through the month of July. We're going to skip August. We're going to do monthly course calls, weekly course calls for every month, every week in September. We had several guests on that were talking about how they were bettering their life by divesting themselves of their partnerships. Because investing is great. You could scale faster, but you had no control. You had emotions that weren't yours involved in their deals. Some partnerships could work out between two people who know their asset classes and know their markets and have synergy together and have a tested knowledge base. But that brand new investor, when you don't know what to learn, I said it clearly. If you can't find a good deal, how are you going to find a good partner? You won't even know what to look for. You won't realize you're being scammed on accident because what you're getting out of the deal isn't what your partner thinks you're getting out of the deal. So from top to bottom, because I want to get this video out in less than 20 minutes, because these videos are for people who would never click on a 2-hour video. If you want a long video where I answer all of the questions every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, I answer all of the questions, and I will look today really quick. Mark's guest today sold his properties and brought Bitcoin. No, I don't think he sold them. I think he has Bitcoin and has properties also. I think it's a together thing. My sister's partner stole her husband. Hang on, let me process this. My sister's partner stole her husband. Your sister is better off. A husband that can be stole is not a husband worth keeping. So congratulations to your sister. And the book will be coming out in Spanish in a few months because that is a lot to translate. Does this look like a book that somebody who's lazy would write? And I will explain why lazy is a superpower. The 10 years of work, investing, learning, educating, and buying and stabilizing my rentals was definitely not lazy. But I did that because if you want to find the easiest way to do something, ask a lazy person. The easiest way to have the rest of your life where you never have to work again is to put those 10 years in. The easiest way for a lazy person to write a book is to make sure that every bit of knowledge you have is in there about reaching financial freedom, investing in buy and hold real estate, so you don't have to write a second book. Because there's enough work in making a book and then making an ebook and then making an Audible version and then making a Spanish version and possibly some other languages depending on what people ask for. I'm hoping that if you can avoid these 7 lies in real estate that is keeping people broke, that eventually you could be as lazy as I am